At 23, Grace was slender with bright eyes and a gentle manner. She enjoyed reading poems on her phone, chatting with an online circle of friends, and sometimes helping neighbors with small chores. By local standards, some considered her late in finding a husband. An unspoken clock seemed to tick, measuring her worth by marriage prospects. Yet Grace believed in waiting for the right time, refusing to let fear or convention push her into a forced union. Her mother, Ruth, thought differently. Each day, she hammered the same complaint. "Look at you, Grace. You're getting older by the day, yet no suitor is in sight." In between her rants, she waved wedding invitation cards from acquaintances, lamenting how she, Ruth, was forced to attend everyone else's celebrations while her only daughter sat around pressing her phone, uninterested in finding a man. Ruth threatened that if Grace remained single by age 26, she'd be driven out of the house. This ultimatum stung Grace deeply. That morning's quarrel was especially harsh. Ruth had discovered a new invitation card, this one from Jennifer, the youngest daughter of a neighbor. Jennifer was set to wed in December. The news roiled Ruth's frustrations, so she unleashed a torrent of scolding at Grace, calling her lazy, unambitious, and ungrateful for letting time slip away. Grace, shocked and hurt, tried to explain that each person has their own timing, that she couldn't just jump into marriage like one leaps into a taxi. Tears streamed down her cheeks, but Ruth's anger only swelled, culminating in the threat of eviction. Vexed and humiliated, Grace retreated to her small room, phone in hand, tears blurring her vision. She wanted to disappear from the constant barrage of wedding invites and her mother's scorn. Why can't Mama see that marriage isn't just a checklist item, she wondered. That same afternoon, Grace's longtime friend Faith stopped by. Faith was known for her frankness. She never sugarcoated the truth. Settling next to Grace on the small couch, she listened to her friend's plight. When Grace sobbed about Ruth's demands, Faith half agreed with the mother's sentiments. "Your mom is partly right. At 23, many of our peers are engaged or mothers already," Faith said, shrugging. "If you were doing what other girls are doing, you'd be married by now." Grace blinked through tears, feeling slightly betrayed by her friend. But Faith insisted she meant no insult, only that this was the reality in Umuoma. If a woman didn't advertise herself, men rarely noticed. Grace grew defensive. "What exactly are these other girls doing that ensures quick marriage?" she asked, frustration cracking her voice. Faith smirked, leaning in to whisper conspiratorially. "Let's just say they put themselves out there, attending every social gathering, never missing a chance to chat with potential suitors. Some even do more cunning things. But you sit at home, phone in hand." Days passed, and tension thickened between Grace and her mother. Ruth's tone grew sharper, often confronting her daughter with cold glares or snide remarks. She spent hours rummaging through wedding invitation cards from distant cousins, local neighbors, old classmates, each an exasperating reminder of Grace's single status. The living room table overflowed with those cards, like a shrine to the very concept of marriage. Grace, for her part, withdrew into herself. She found solace in her phone, a modern link to the outside world, away from her mother's accusations. Late at night, she scrolled through social media or chatted in group forums, reading stories of other women who battled similar familial pressures. Some gave in, marrying men they barely loved. Others rebelled, forging new paths, but paying a hefty social price. Grace felt her chest tighten with each tale. She longed for a solution that didn't require betraying her own instincts. One crisp morning, Grace decided to step outside her comfort zone. She took Faith's words to heart. Men won't see you if you never go out. Dressing in a modest but flattering outfit, she ventured to the market. Usually, she rushed errands, but this time she strolled slowly, meeting eye contact, exchanging small talk with passersby. A few men greeted her politely, but none engaged in deeper conversation. By noon, she returned empty-handed, in terms of suitor prospects, though she had a better sense of local gossip. Ruth noticed her daughter's unusual sociability and sneered. "Is that your plan to find a husband, walking around aimlessly?" she taunted one evening. Grace bristled, snapping, "Mama, I'm trying to meet people in my own way. Must you degrade every effort?" Ruth didn't relent, retorting that Grace's approach was half-hearted. "Learn from girls like Jennifer, who never let an opportunity slip by. That's how she ended up with a fiancé, not by dawdling." Spurred by these criticisms, Grace decided to attend a neighborhood vigil, an event often frequented by youth. Perhaps she'd expand her social circle. She parted her hair neatly, wore a colorful wrapper, and arrived at the vigil as the praise songs began. Elders, youths, and children danced in the warm glow of lanterns. Drummers pounded out vibrant rhythms that echoed through the night. Eager to break free from her mother's condemning stares, Grace lost herself in the drumming. A local young man, Daniel, approached Grace, smiling shyly. He commented on her singing voice during worship. They introduced themselves and chatted about the dryness of the season, each occasionally laughing at silly remarks. A small glimmer of hope warmed Grace's chest. Could Mama's prophecy be reversed? Could I find companionship when I least expect it? She and Daniel parted with a promise to keep in touch. That night, Grace returned home, heart lightened by at least the possibility of normal socializing. However, any fleeting joy was short-lived. The next morning, Ruth discovered a note in Grace's bag, revealing that she'd attended the vigil and possibly met a boy. Fueled by curiosity, she bombarded Grace with questions. Who is he? Where is he from? Has he proposed? The barrage felt suffocating, as though Ruth aimed to rush the entire courting process into a single day. Grace tried explaining it was just a friendly chat, no formal suitor talk. But Ruth's impatience exploded. "You can't keep me waiting forever, Grace. I want to carry my grandchildren before old age cripples me. Do you want me to die without seeing your children?" Tears welled in her eyes, a mixture of frustration and genuine maternal fear. Grace felt a pang of guilt. Perhaps Mama truly fears time's passing, but the method of forcing marriage felt so misguided, it only deepened Grace's resentment. Fearing escalation, Grace retreated. She spent the afternoon weaving baskets in the courtyard, letting the repetitive motions call her racing thoughts. The melodic thwick-thwack of bamboo strips lulled her, but her mother's angry voice lingered in the back of her mind. Every so often she glimpsed Ruth glaring from a window, arms folded. Their home felt like a battlefield, each side harboring heartbreak beneath the arguments.